Picture this, you're halfway through a DIY car fix, tools scattered everywhere, and boom, you realise you're missing a part. It's okay, because you know whatever it is, it's on eBay. They've got everything, brakes, headlights, cold air intakes, whatever you need. And it's guaranteed to fit, which means no more crossing your fingers and hoping you ordered the right thing. All the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love.
Hi guys, Happy New Year and welcome to part 2 of the Kevin Eustace chat that I had for my 200th episode. So it's episode 201. I thought I couldn't get it all in on one episode. It was 2 hours long, but I didn't want to cut anything out. So hope you enjoy the chit chat. We'll find out what he did to his guitar. You might find out what I've done to some of my guitars as well. It's quite funny. And some other interesting stuff after that. So I hope that you're not too hungover. I hope you haven't got to work too much today. Those in emergency services and in the hospitality services. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the show. It was a bugger to edit. It's been a nightmare. It's taken me forever and ever and ever. Oh man, oh my God. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. Talk to you on this when it's finished, but take it away, Kev.
Started trying to do some sort of like cool design on it on the fretboard side. Looks fucking ridiculous, and it doesn't even play well. I wouldn't mind.
You know, I've got an acoustic on my wall that I swapped a PlayStation for.
Yeah,
it was completely useless guitar, right? It was a semi-acoustic. I didn't want it to play because it wasn't a great guitar. So what I did was I got all these old. I'll send you a picture when we finish. But I've got all these old copies of Enemy. I cut out all these people that passed on, my heroes, and I stuck them on. And then every time someone died, I wrote on the guitar in white pen their date of birth, and the day and the day they died. And it's called my Fallen Hero guitar. Yeah. And it's filling up now, man. I've got fucking no space. I reckon it's just going to be the fretboard left. Like every time someone passes away, I'm like, oh, Van Halen, right? Yeah. Oh, I remember doing when what's his name? Lemmy died. Lemmy, just all of the names. And people come in and go, that's a great piece of art. And I go, actually, I use that for
that's a Diary of Death.
Diary of Death. And I've got Ian Jury on the headstock.
Oh, that's cool.
Actually, I've got to put Paul Diano on there now because he passed away 2 days ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
I've seen that. I've seen R.I.P. Paul trending. I was thinking, uh-oh.
I met him. Lovely guy.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. A real East Ender, like a geezer.
Yeah.
We saw him. He came to Canberra, played a cracking set. He can't sing anymore. His fucking voice is gone. But who cares, man? I'm 3 feet away from the first Iron Maiden sing. I don't give a shit. He could stand there and hum. I don't care. It's Paul Diano, right? And then the second time he came, he was at a walking stick. And he was in a bit of a bad mood. And he's a massive Ramones fan. So he was doing this Ramones cover, and no one recognised it. So halfway through the song, he stopped the band. He went, fuck you guys. Went off stage. Never came back.
Amazing.
And I thought...
So that's rock and roll? That's rock and roll.
Oh, man, I love you. It was moaning. Yeah? No, man, I absolutely get it.
Yeah, that's
this
amazing.
Is great. He was doing, I think, KKK Took My Baby Away, I think he was doing. And they were like, everyone's like, well, it's not my Maiden song. Well, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I don't know this one.
I don't know this one.
It's like, yeah.
It's like when teenage girls wear shirts. Like when you see teenagers in shirts, we famously had a friend of ours whose daughter thought that Nirvana was a clothing brand.
Oh God!
Sorry to tell you that, man. Sorry to tell you that. You see them. I was on the bus and there was this girl and she had a Motorhead shirt on that she'd bought in like a jean shop. And I felt like going up to her and saying, "Don't appropriate my culture. I won't appropriate yours."
Yeah, get all 2024 on our ass.
Yeah. Go. You give me a name of a song, and it can't be Ace's Place. Okay, come on.
Yeah. I to be honest, I had a mate like that. I mean, I know, the people you get accused of gatekeeping and all this malarkey. I just stay away from it now and just let them do what they want. But but I had a mate when We was about 16. I wasn't making any money. I was still in school, and but I had a mate who was like, he had really like well-off parents, and I was like really into grunge and stuff, and could very rarely afford an album. Do you know what I mean? It was like 3 weeks pocket money or something to get an album or go out or whatever else. So he rung the house phone, and he's like, oh, my dad says I can buy an album today. What should I buy? Should I buy Nevermind or should I buy Super Unknown? And I was like, and when you're thinking you don't know any songs, and it was kind of like, I was into my. Now looking back, I'm thinking I should have been swat with him. I should have just I should just say,
hey man, get Nevermind.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But at the time, I was raging because I was thinking, I want to buy them fucking albums. I've got them on tape, and I've got them on copied tape.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. As in, like, I've paid £3 to someone who's photocopied the sleeve and give me a bloody tape. And
a Thriller.
Did you?
Yeah.
You know what? Shameful moment, but we've all went through the Michael Jackson phase. And anyway, I remember
Thriller's a great album.
It's amazing. He's outstanding. But I remember crying myself to sleep, age about 7, thinking what will happen when Michael Jackson died. And I remember crying, falling asleep, thinking, no, Michael, no.
I almost got fired over a grunge song.
Really?
I almost got fired. So I'd left school at 16 because I'd had enough of school, and I wanted to get away from home. So I thought, if I leave school, and I had to have a job. Like the headmaster said, you can't leave school until you've got a job. My dad said you can't leave school, so I got a job tearing tickets in the local cinema, right? Just an usher, right? Just whatever.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be in the film industry anyway. That was my first love. So okay, and so I'm doing this, and. Now, for the life of me, it was an Alice in Chains song.
Yeah,
and I can't remember the bloody one. It was probably what was their big single? Can you remember what
they had? Down in a Hole or Wood or
the video is him
Man in a Box.
No, Down in a Hole. I think it's Down in a Hole. Because one of the very first ones. Anyway, I'd heard it and I really fucking wanted it, and I got paid that day, and I was meant to work from 6 till 10. Right, and so when everyone was in the cinema watching the movies, everything's closed up, right? So I thought, fuck, I'll just get on the train, which is like next to the cinema, pop into central London, grab this single, I'll be back in an hour. No one will even know I've gone. I'm on my lunch break. So I had a lunch break. I could do that. I left. Fucking train broke down. So I'm stuck there. I didn't get back till like 9:30. And the manager's at the front, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I went to London to get something. In my lunch break, I thought, he goes, so you can't do that sort of thing. He goes, I should fire you, but I haven't got any stuff.
I love that. I should fire you. I also love the fact, where have you been? I went to London.
Yeah.
That's about the answer.
I had a great same job. This manager, he goes to me, I had longer hair than I have now. So like this was like twice the length.
Where did that come from? Jesus wept. Sorry, for anyone listening, I've been just looking at Tony head on, and he went, I had longer hair than this, and he's just pulled a fucking ponytail as long as my knees from behind his head.
Because it's better on the mic, you see, with the hair tied back.
Yeah.
And I decided to grow that back during lockdown. I thought I'm not having my hair cut ever again. Fuck it.
Fair play.
And asked my wife. She said, go on. So anyway, he goes to me. I had a silver ring on every finger, right? Yeah. I had the doll's eye ring from the Great Frog. I had fucking, black eyeliner. And I turn up with a leather jacket on, go to work. And my Mark, his name was. He goes, get your hair cut. I'll give you money to get your hair cut. And I went, yeah. He goes, I want to get your hair cut. I said, oh, okay. So he gave me this £10 note. Went next to the hairdresser, and I said, cut this much off. So if you can't see it, it's a very small amount. You'd have to put it in the palm of my hand, right? So he cut it off, right? And I walked back in. He goes, you haven't got your haircut. I said, you didn't say how much. And I put it on his desk.
Amazing.
And he's like, you cheeky bastard. I said, yes. You can't ask me to do that.
What sort of man is that? That's like the Simpsons, shave those sideburns, hippie.
Yeah, I was like, Simpsons. Come on, mate. Because he was very tied up. He was a very straightforward. He lived in Bedford, so that says it all, really.
Oh, okay.
But he was a very tied sort of white-collar worker, That was the cinema that was really haunted. That was that period, man. That was incredibly strange time. Speaking of paranormal, I had one recently.
Oh,
The
really?
first one for a long time. Was last year, actually. Recently, it was last year. So I had a customer come in where I was working. I got chatting with them and we were talking about things and just about paranormal. I don't know. I always get into conversations. Like you, it gets pushed into conversation. I don't care if you believe me or don't believe me. I'm getting into this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy goes, oh yeah. He goes, my house is really haunted. And I'm like, oh, is it? He goes, yeah. I live. I said, well, that's just down the road. That's like 4 roads from me. He said, yeah. He goes, I said, what happens? And he goes, well, he had all sorts of phenomena, right? So he had one room, the blinds would smack against the window really violently. The corridor, no one wanted to go down. The kids wouldn't be in one room in the dark. There was a girl that ran around the house. They could hear her running. And there was a real heavy presence in the house, right?
Yeah.
And apparently where they used to march the prisoners from Sydney to our way, which is 300 kilometers, shackled. And where the house was, it was where the tree where they used to hang them and stuff. And I thought, okay, so that's gonna be dark, right? And natives as well, like the Aboriginals were killed there. And I thought, okay. Anyway, I was planning to go over and do a little investigation. I had friends that were going to get going, but something said to me, "You're not prepared for this. Your dad's not well. You're in the wrong headspace for it. This is not going to go. This is not going to go well, particularly if you bring something nasty back with you." So I thought, okay, I won't. But I told her, I said, look, can you give me another couple of months? Yeah, no problem. Anyway, she rings me at work, and she said, "Can I talk to you on the phone?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And I'm on the phone with her. I hear this growl. I am not lying. It was like a real guttural growl.
Yeah.
And I went, "Look, I've got to go. I've got a customer." And I put the phone down. Anyway, she comes in 2 days later and she goes, "I don't know what you did on the phone, but that hallway where the feeling presence is gone." And I said, and I panicked. I started thinking, fuck,
it's come to you.
It's come to me, right? So I'm going home doing all this fucking aura cleaning and getting my rocks and stones and fucking smudging. And I swear, honestly, I didn't imagine it, man. It was as clear as you and I are talking now. It was like a woof, like a real guttural moan. And she said, it feels clean down the end of the house. She goes, "Oh, can you come and do the rest of the house?" I said, no.
God, imagine if that was the new way of exercising, like as in exorcism, as like you just ring someone. Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't it be great, wouldn't it?
It'd be amazing. They're trapped in a Nokia 3210 now. It's like it's goose.
I've got this thing. It's not the Dybbuk box, which isn't real, but I've got this phone.
You know what? It's funny you saying that though, because one of the only I've had lots of weird experiences, but like in terms of like looking at a solid thing or anything, not really, no. But when I was a manager in a call center, you could do live monitorings on people, call monitorings.
Yeah.
And score them and stuff. And there was a girl on my team called, I say girl, she was like in her 40s. When I was about 26, maybe. And I'm her manager, and she's a lovely girl, a woman called Jackie. And I'm listening to this live call that she's on, and we were working for different contracts. It was like an outsourcer, so we were on for Orange mobile phones.
Yeah.
And this woman's called up to set up a SIM card, and Jackie's doing it with her, and I'm listening to the call live, and I'm marking her. And Jackie says to the woman, "Okay, that's all set up. I've got your phone numbers. Just come up in front of me now," because that's how it'd work in them days.
Yeah.
They'd give you the SIM card number. That'd generate a phone number. You'd give it to them. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
She goes, "Have you got a pen? And I'll give you your phone number." So the woman says, "Yes, just 1 second." So she puts her house phone down, and you'd hear it go on the side, and you hear her walking away, and I'm like just chewing my pen, looking at Jackie, and then clear as day in my headset, you hear "Judas." Right? Genuinely. And I'm looking at Jackie, and she has her facial expression hasn't changed. And I'm thinking, what the freaking hell? And then the woman comes back here to go, "Hello, yeah, I've got a pen." She goes, "Okay, here's your number." So as soon as she finishes the call, I go, "Jackie, come here." I said, "Did you hear anything when she went to get that pen?" And she went, "No, why?" I went, I'm hoping it's been, and it was. And I went, "Listen to this." And she sat there, she stood up next to me actually. She put the headset on and she's listening away. And then she hears it, and she threw the headset off and went, "What's that?" And I went, "I don't fucking know."
Oh my
And then next thing,
God.
there's 10 people around the desk, all like listening and going, "What's that?" I'm going, "I don't know." Clear as day though, Judas, and she didn't hear it.
Wow.
Honest to God, mate, I've just got a shiver thinking about it. And unfortunately for me, for those who don't know, it's 11:10 at night here, and I'm in an empty house.
It's a lovely sunshiny day here.
Exactly, yeah. You're having your cornflakes. I'm worried about the fact that I've just realised I've started this and haven't turned the light on downstairs, and I'm in the attic. I've got to walk through the house, turn the lights on.
Oh, do you know, when I was a kid, I've said this on this because I did a whole episode about my haunted life last Halloween, and when I was a kid, my dad, God rest his soul, and it's weird to say that out loud.
Yeah.
He had this fear of locked rooms, right? So nothing was locked. All the locks were taken off the door. Every room. It didn't matter. Bathroom, toilet. I had to sit with my foot against the door to go to the toilet. He just wouldn't have locked rooms. I don't know what his dad did to him or whatever happened.
Yeah.
But he also really didn't. He didn't like electric light. Didn't like having lights on all the time. He was a bit like one of those war children. No, it's expensive. Turn everything off.
Yeah.
So he'd take bulbs out to stop people putting the lights on and off. And we'd watch horror movies, Mum, Dad, and I. He loved them. And then I'd go, "Dad, I've got to go to the toilet." I was like 9. And he'd go, "Okay." And I'd go, "But there's no light on." He'd go,
Yeah.
I'll stand at the bottom of the stairs. So he'd come out, and then I'd run up the stairs, go to the toilet in the dark, wash my hands in the dark, pelt back down the stairs.
No way. No way.
I learned to jump those stairs 4 at a time blind. You know, I could do it without, and I can see where you're coming from, man. Because when I had that haunting here, I couldn't go up the stairs, man. So you going downstairs and
no, and it's in this house. Funny enough, in the bedroom, which should be my bedroom, which was my dad's, because like yourself, my dad passed in June, and I should be sleeping in there. I'm not, but anyway, that's a different story. But it used to be my mum and dad's room, and when they were both alive, they had a 3-piece mirror that was on the unit, and it was like 2 small mirrors and a big mirror that was all joined, you know, so it stood up like a thing.
Yeah.
And they never had a light bulb in that bedroom for some reason, and the immersion heater was in that room. Like, you'd open the door and you'd go right across, and because that, like one night even, we all sat downstairs except for my dad, who was working, and my brother was out. So me, my mum and my sister, and my mum says, "Go and put the immersion heater on." And I was like, "Okay." And I thought, I hate that room, because the door would, when you'd open the door, it'd start closing.
Oh,
you know,
God.
So, and there's no light in there. It's the middle of the night. So I opened the door as much as I could, braced myself, ran, flipped the switch, and as I turned round, I heard bang from the unit. So I, like you're saying, 3 at a time down the stairs, and my mum's already in the hall. "What was that?" And I went, "I don't know. That you've been allowed, it's something in your room." So all 3 of us went and stood in the garden. Honest to God. And my elder brother was in his mate's house down the road, and my sister ran and got him, and he come up, and he's only like 6 years older than me. But he goes in the house, and we're all behind him like the Scooby-Doo. And it turns out this mirror, for some reason, with no windows open, but it just fell flat as I'd gone in. And
No, thanks.
And to be honest, I've said it from minute one. The reason we're talking now is down to me mum. The reason I've got a paranormal interest is down to me mum.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
My mother was psychic.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I have that of her. I've got from her as well. So
yeah, well, my mum, like, because she was the one who got me into it, because she told me stories about what she'd seen. She had loads of different. She definitely had something about her in a psychic sense and a witchy sense. And my sister's picked it up from her, but she doesn't. She will acknowledge it now and again when something happens, and I'll say, "You're a fucking witch." And she goes, "I know." And then, she'll tell me, like, she goes, "You know the way you call me a witch?" And then she'll tell me something which is like witchy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just bizarre.
I mean, I got because my mother was an East End Jew, from the war, born before the war, and like for Polish heritage, and there's a sort of she just had this way about her. She was very superstitious, like extreme. I mean, I can't have open scissors around me. For some reason, she hated it, and now if I have open scissors, I get really panicky, right? She had very superstitious, but she would often say things like, "Oh, granddad's here. When Granddad passed away, he's like, oh yeah, he's over there," and I'd like, what? And I'd get freaky because our house was haunted.
Yeah.
It was heavily haunted, and she didn't even bother. It never fazed her. You know,
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there like going, "Oh, can we have the lights on?" And she'd be like, "Oh, it's all right. No, don't worry about it." It seemed to do her. She got warmth from it. I've started getting my slightly psychic abilities later in life. I probably when I was about 10 years ago, I'd say, started noticing little things.
Well, I think
I can tell you because you believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you look into it, it looks back at you. I do believe that.
Mm.
I mean, but like saying about like what my mum used to say was like very similar to what you're saying there. Like she definitely had something. She definitely could sense things and all this. But she would, when I would get scared from the story she's telling me, aged 8.
Oh yeah.
She'd say, "It's the living you should be afraid of, not the dead." Like that made it all right. Do you know what I mean?
That's what Mum used to say. Very similar. Don't worry about it. They can't hurt you. Like.
Yeah. And funny enough, she was like her mother was Polish.
Yeah, so seen that way, right? But here's the story. I've got to ask you this because I haven't talked to you for a while. So I listen to you, and I listen to Ghost Story Guys, and I listen to Mysteries and Monsters, right? They're my 3 that I listen to, right? I have to ask you, someone who's in the field, right? And this is for other listeners because it fascinates me. Because I listen to Brendan and Paul, and they're always anti, ghost hunting tools and electronics and how do you feel about that?
About the tools they use?
Yeah.
I think there's a place for them because, and I'll tell you as to why. Because especially if you're doing something basic like temperature reading, if you're doing an official alleged investigation, you should be doing a baseline test first. So you go around, you know what temperature everything is. Therefore, you know if something's changed. So that kind of makes rational sense to do if you're trying to approach it from a scientific point of view. But myself and Emma from Real Life Ghost Stories podcast,
who I've listened to as well.
Yeah, she's a lovely girl. We went and we were invited to go and spend the night in a haunted hotel in Chester. They've got a YouTube channel, My Haunted Hotel. I think we're episode 12, but basically they're trying to set up a YouTube channel because it's like from the 1200s or something. This pub,
right? And
they've turned it into an attraction, or they're trying to. But it's got like a history of being haunted, and we were free to. There was only me and Emma and two other women in this place, and we both heard a baby crying from within the walls.
Wow.
And they picked it up on the microphones. But getting back to the technical equipment sort of thing, the night ended about 1 a.m. We all sat around this big table in what used to be a brothel part of this ancient pub. And they had what they call a REM pod, which is a proximity thing that goes off. Yeah. So if you're near it, it goes off. And that was on the bar, and we're all sat around the table. And Danny, the guy who's like he's like the host, if you like, of the show, but he's really into this equipment. He said, and it was fascinating, really. He said, we found that there's a frequency, between certain frequencies, these 2 frequencies, can't remember what they are. He said, paranormal things tend to happen when we use this. He's got like a sine wave generator sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he also had a static box that was just would randomly just go like
goes through the radios thing.
No, because that's a Frank's box, I think they call that, where they shoot through radio. This is just basically a speaker that's tuned to nothing,
right?
And it's got quite a bit of reverb on it, I think, for effect. But it will just now and again, if it picks up any sort of charge, it'll just go like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Something's there. So.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, he goes, right, he's asking questions, nothing's happening. And then he starts with this sine wave thing, and it's going louder and louder. And to be fair, Emma's like got her fingers in her ears, and I'm like, are you okay? Because it was really loud. And he literally says, we're entering the area of interest now, as he calls it, this between these 2 frequencies.
Yeah.
And as he starts to go through this, I mean, I'm a shitbag anyway, but as he starts to go through it, the REM pod goes off, and we haven't moved. There's no one there. Do you know what I mean? At the same time, an actual word comes through this box, which only picks up static. So it said, I can't even remember what it said, and we all had different views on what it said. It was something like some said it was a name, some said it was like hate or something like that. But it was definitely a word.
Wow.
And I've never felt so there was definitely something there, and they even picked something up on the thermal camera just before all that took place. I like this orb that goes, and I'm normally one for orb. I know orbs are dust. For everyone out there is like, orbs are dust. I'm like, I know, but on the thermal camera, they pick up this little circle that goes through one of the individuals.
There you go.
And that's not dust.
Right?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then just after that, as soon as it goes through the person, the REM pod goes off and the speaker goes like "rawr" or whatever it said. And then then we were meant to be in 2 separate rooms, me and Emma, and we literally looked at each other and went, "Nah, fuck that." I said, "You can have the bed. I'm on the floor." I said, "No way."
Yeah, I must admit, I've the same. My wife keeps telling me, because we had planned to go to the stay overnight at the we booked it, stay over the night at the asylum in down in Victoria, and COVID came, so it was like, no, we can't go. So he locked us out. But she goes, you know what you're gonna be like. You're gonna get there full of beans, and then something will happen, and you'll run off. I'm like, yeah. That's probably right, but I still want to go to do it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I still want to experience the run.
Yeah. But the reason I bring it up is that I got put off commercial paranormal programs really early on. Really early on. I won't name his name, but it sounds like Pack. You know what I'm going to mean?
Oh, right.
Pack Hagans. Yeah. Everything's a demon. Everything. Yeah. Everything is a demon. And everything, they got all these tools, and it's like, you don't even give it time. You don't sit there. I mean, you know that a paranormal city, like doing a search, you might pick nothing up 9 times out of 10. How can they pick every time they go somewhere?
Exactly.
It's like, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, especially with that individual, because it's if you notice, if nothing does happen, he then starts to get possessed, and he wants to punch one poor fella all the time. I just felt really angry towards X, and it's like, that fella's like, must be like, why me all the time? But
my daughter went to his museum in LA.
Oh,
in LA?
Yeah, I think it's LA.
Yeah. And
that's meant to be really good, because I mean, Emma's been there. She was saying like, there was, I can't remember what the item was. It might have been the Annabelle doll, but she said there was one of the items really freaked her out.
It's under the stairs, which when you go in the stairs and it talks to you, there's a talking box. The doll is there, and you can be left in on your own with it, and it will talk to you. And but it's, I think that's what might have freaked her out, because I think it freaked. I was watching someone do it, and they said, I don't care for the Dybbuk box. I don't care for that stuff under the basement floor from that house he bought. But that thing was like, that really it was like, you know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I think these kind of programs, don't you think that they sort of blight what you actually do, you and Paul and Brendan?
It's a double-edged sword, I think, because I think it all started realistically with Most Haunted. You know, that's why Zach Bacon's a millionaire, because of Most Haunted. It's I mean, the person we're not mentioning is a millionaire because of Most Haunted. Because if I'm not suggesting you do it, because like you just said, 9 times out of 10 nothing happens, but the very first Most Haunted Live was a huge event. They'd done it on Halloween, and I remember thinking nothing like this has been done before. And what they were basically doing was a real life version of BBC's Ghost Watch, which was Ghost Watch was amazing. I thought it was real when it was on, and you know, I even rung the number and it was engaged. So to me, it's authentic. You know what I mean? So, but they were doing a real life Ghost Watch, and so I was bang up for this, and there was nobody in this house. I was living in this house at the time, and I got myself a couple of bottles of wine. I ordered a pizza, and I sat there and watched it. And that one was really good, because it featured just things like Yvette Fielding was sitting in a room by herself in the dark, and they were just saying, "What can you feel?" And you know, there was no like shocks and scares, but it was great just watching her sitting there thinking anything could happen, but nothing did. But it was still one of the best ones they've ever done.
I watched that program quite a lot, and I can never hear the taps they're talking about. Hear the tap, and I'm like, I'll turn the volume up full, have my mic headphones on. I can't hear the tapping you're talking about. The guy, did you hear that tap? Like, no.
I'll be honest. There's skepticism thrown around, and rightly so. But I've got to give them credit where it's due. And when I say rightly so, I mean, you know, you've got to have a rational head, so you've got to question everything. But to be fair to them, you know, they were the ones who got rid of Derek Akora.
Oh God! Oh.
When they caught him out, basically, because they were kind of forced by TV to say this is entertainment, and they didn't want to. They wanted it to be, especially Yvette.
Yes.
They, wanted it to be a legit, like, scientific investigation sort of thing.
Yeah,
well, not scientific, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
A legit investigation.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they got wind that he was faking it, they made up an anagram of
Derek Acora.
Of Derek Acora, yeah.
Yeah.
Called what was his name? Creed Kafer.
That's it.
And
Brilliant.
Someone slipped him the information that this place was haunted by Creed Kafer, and he got possessed by Creed Kafer. And I am Creed Kafer. I walk around these. It's look at him, Scouse, because I walk around these streets, and I am not a happy man. And Yvette Fielding was looking at him as in to say, it's an anagram of Derek Faker, but she couldn't say nothing because it was still an episode. And then they sacked him the day after. But so they were kind of looking out for the legit things, and then they got in a medium called he's the psychic barber. He was known as.
Oh yes.
He's I can't remember his name. It's doing me head in. But what I will say is he's the only guy that because there was obviously we're having a fascination with the subject since a child. There was remember Panorama on BBC?
Yes.
And it was a deadly serious documentary style program.
Yeah.
And they'd done one on the surge of celebrity psychics. Yes. When like UK Living was having Colin Fry.
Oh my God!
People like that.
Good Morning Britain had one, didn't they? Oh,
yeah. Mystic Meg and all that carry on. And so they done this, like, not an expose, but they done this thing. And what they done is they followed this Scottish couple, Gordon Smith, I think the barber is. I'm not 100%, but they had this Scottish couple and tragic story. The son had died in a motorcycle accident, and basically the husband had reached out to Panorama or however it happened, and said his wife is like obsessively going to psychics to try and get in touch, and he wants to prove to her it's all bollocks, and like we need to come to terms with it. And it was like a debate about, well, if you get comfort from it, is it doing any harm, sort of thing. So they go to these famous psychics like Colin Fry, and these are people who were asking like $5,000 a reading. And they sit this poor woman who's lost her son down with him, the likes of Colin Fry, and he's like, no, and he's not getting any hits because he's a complete cold reader. He does clairaudience, which is basically guess who. You know, like stand up if you know a J name. 10 people stand up. Sit down if you had glasses. And you end up, and then at the end, when they've got one person stood up, they say, he says he loves you. Right? And you know what I mean? And it's like
horrible.
Yeah, exactly. And they go through, and I'm watching it, and me like belief systems going down and down, and me embarrassments going up and up. And right at the very end, they kind of redeemed the whole idea and said, and then we found, this was like literally 5 minutes before the end of the show. They said, so far we've spent X amount of £1,000 on these celebrity psychics. None of them have got anything right. Then we heard about this barber in Scotland who does readings for free.
Nice.
And he doesn't believe in, taking money off people to deliver messages from the dead, sort of thing. And so we've arranged for her to meet him. So they literally film her going into his shop, the barber shop. And he instantly goes, "Oh my God, sit down." And he goes, "Stephen," and she's like, and he's like, he's saying the motorcycle accident. He said, "Don't worry." He went instantly, and everything is like on the nose.
Oh my God.
She came out and she was weeping, and even the dad was going like, "I never believed it, but I believe it now." And it was so.
How can you not believe them? I find, look, you all have your reason to be skeptical, right? I get skeptics. I love them. There's no wrong with skeptics if they can, to themselves, justify what they think is right. Yeah, that's fine. As long as they don't make you force it on you. I don't force my beliefs. I'm sure you're the same on the people you know. You don't go around to people who say they're not believing and go, "But you've got to believe." You just go, "Okay, right, no worries."
No, exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And when it happens to you, then you'll turn to me and go, "Holy shit, Tone, you were right." Yeah. But I'm also a believer as well that you have to be open to it. There are people who go to haunted locations, don't feel anything. They're just not open to it.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain wavelength, that you're just
definitely
happens.
It's like that saying about, and which isn't even to do with the paranormal, that whole, if you believe you will or you believe you won't, you're right. You believe you can, you believe you can't. You're right. And like, there's a little stream by ours that as kids that we all said that we all refer that, me and all my mates, that was evidence of it, because we used to try and jump it. And there'd be days when you'd think, I can do that, and you would. And there'd be days you'd think, I'm not going to make it today, and you wouldn't. No. And it was like evidence that of mind over matter.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. Like, and your perception as well. If you are open to stuff, you can. It's been like, there's that thing where they'll show there's a chant at a football stadium, and they will put words on a screen to a class, and it's different each time, but you hear what's on the screen.
Yes.
Because so that's how easy the brain's manipulated. So it also proves that, like, you can be put into a state if you don't believe in something so avidly. Like, Brian Cox does me head in, one, because he's a smug prick, and two, because the way he talks about ghosts is so arrogant. It's like they can't exist due to the third law of thermonuclear dynamics or something. It's like, but you know nothing about, explain. Do you know if string theory exists? Well, it's a theory. It's like, well, you don't know if it does or doesn't. You can say it's a theory, but you've no idea if it works. Like, there's so much he doesn't know about, and none of us know. That's the thing. If you don't know, you don't know. You can't say that can't exist. That's the thing that does me head in when someone says,
would it be a sad world if it was that cut and dry?
Exactly.
Wouldn't it be so I don't want to live in a world where that happens, to be honest with you. I don't like it. I like the veil. I think the veil being there is something needed to be. I think it's special, Well,
it's so the thing is, it's like, think about the amount of people that have ever lived, and think about the fact that one thing that's held out throughout time are ghost stories and seeing things. And yet you could argue, well, that's from people wanting to see things. There's plenty of people who haven't wanted to see things and have.
Oh, yes.
There's plenty,
I've been one of them. yeah, exactly.
Well, is genuinely, my dad was never a believer in ghosts. He was never discussed them. He knew my mum liked them and had seen some, but no ghost stories from him, nothing at all. Anyway, about 2 years ago at my uncle's funeral, we're at the wake afterwards, and my cousin, who's about 15 years older than me, says, your dad must have told you his Ouija board story. And I thought, no. So what's this? And I could tell my dad's talking to someone else, but I could tell he'd heard it, and I seen his face change. And I went, what's this? And he went, oh, it's nothing. And then kind of, and my cousin Mark goes, what do you mean it's nothing? And he goes, I'll tell it then. So he goes, because Mark stopped, my dad goes, I'll tell you it. And I can tell he doesn't want to, because this is the thing. So he goes, he says, me and me mate, like, ended up his best man. He said, we were done the Ouija board in your nan's, he said, in the back, in the shed. He said, anyway, we're doing it, and we're messing around. And he said, it just kept going to this series of numbers. He said, and I thought he was pushing it, and he thought I was pushing it. So we left it. He said, that was the date his dad died. And
I was like, my God.
Really? And I went, why have you never told me that? And he went, because I'd never do it again. Because my dad was one of them. I don't believe in anything, but you're not doing the Ouija board.
Yeah, I had that. My dad was saying, yeah, you kind of tarot card in the house, no Ouija boards, but I don't believe in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, it's that's the you find that often with paranormal fans who, like, even myself, I've done hundreds of Ouija boards.
I won't do it, to be honest with you.
No, but the thing is, like, it's been proven as what's it called? Idiosyncratic, maybe. No, idiomotor.
That's it.
The idiomotor effect of it. So you are moving it. That's undoubted. But you're subconsciously moving it. Then the idea is who's in your subconscious.
Got you.
Yeah. So, and that's where the danger comes in. Well, there's two dangers really. It's unfortunately people who are drawn towards the paranormal there's a higher percentage of people with a mental, not illness, but they're more prone to having a mental illness,
right,
that are into the paranormal because of the belief system. The more open-minded, the more creative. Generally, it's a kind of to be interested in such things, to believe in such things, and you've got a more open worldview, should we put it?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it can also be dangerous.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why people do say don't play with the Ouija board, because the wrong sort of person, and I've seen it happen with people, can be really affected. Even though you could have 5 people doing it and 4 people are knowingly pushing it, that 5th person won't sleep for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
that's what worries me. I have to tell you. That sort of thing. Mm.
And it's an interesting one. But I am of the opinion that, like, you either, like, for example, if you do the Ouija board with someone, you'll normally see it go in a figure 8, and it goes in a figure 8 because it's a natural pattern for 4 people sitting around one area to move their fingers in, and you kind of follow each other in this idiomotor effect into that pattern. So you're doing it yourself. Do you know what I mean? But it's when it starts to spell things out that then you ask, because the question is, we know scientifically you are pushing it. Yeah. So that's why I think that, for me, that's the danger of Ouija boards. Isn't necessarily they bring something through. It's the fact something is controlling you. Yeah,
which is dangerous.
That's the. I mean, like, you have people who say they take their hands off and it still moves. And I haven't seen that, but I've got a very good friend who is neither a believer nor a skeptic, but isn't interested in the topic, but has seen that happen. And when you talk about the paranormal, they'll say, well, I'll never forget. The only thing I've ever seen is this. They all took their hands off and it moved off the board and fell off the table. It's stuff like that, which kind of... it's kind of...
I had that same similar... I remember once, not as dark as that, but it was not paranormal, but it scared the shit out of me. My dad used to run a pub. And you put wet glasses on a shiny surface, they slide, don't they? Right? Have you seen that? Yeah. So I'm standing there, and I've put the thing, because this pub was used to be frequented by Dick Turpin, and it's a very famous pub. Yeah. I put the glass down and and thump, smash. And honestly, for a second, then I clenched, and then it does all the time. It's just a wet glass. I'll show you. I did it again and replicate it.
Yeah, like aquaplaning, isn't it? It's like
I was like, okay. So when I watch videos of pubs with glasses, I go, is that bar wet? Like,
when you see a pint explode, it's normally because it's the glass has been in a hotter thing to dry out, and then they put a cold pint into it and give it to someone. And it's
I've seen that happen. It's happened to me, actually. So, but look, thank you for giving me your chat. I've loved chatting to you. It's been too long, man. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been too long. Yeah, we should do this more often.
Couple of years. Yeah. So, so you said you're wrapping up. We need to talk about ghosts. You're saying that is that coming up soon?
Yeah. So Halloween. In fact, the episode I've just put out on Monday was with Brennan from Ghost Story Guys. We spoke for about 2 hours, just about everything similar to this, really, except less music based and more ghosts.
That's good for me.
And then. And normally I release on a Monday, but there's nothing coming out this Monday because Halloween falls on the Wednesday. We're going to release the final episode ever on Wednesday. The Patreon's going to remain because I'm just going to drop the G, and they're going to continue to get their shows. And then in January, the new show, which is going to be video format but also audio, so video on YouTube and audio, is going to be just We Need to Talk About. And the sole reason for that is I've got having 2 paranormal shows is a bit much for even me, because I love the paranormal, but not every day in my life. Do you know what I mean? It's
yes.
And don't get me wrong, but it does kind of consume you, when, especially if you think about it, you've got, We Need to Talk About Ghosts. That's got 2 Patreon shows attached to it. All right, fair enough. One of them is just me talking, but the other one is a paranormal one. Then I've got The Dark Paranormal. That's got a mini-sode, currently 2 mini-sodes a week on top of that, and a Patreon episode.
Oh, my God.
So you literally, every day of my life, with the exception of maybe one Saturday or one Sunday, I'm recording something paranormal. Yeah. And it was getting a bit much. It's, especially when you're a believer, Yeah. It depends what mood I'm in. But sometimes, like, there's been times... For example, I lost a recording that I'd done that it was due to release, and I had to do it again, start at 8 at night, and I always record it in the morning. I was doing it like this time, like it's 11:30, well, it's 11:45 in the UK now, and I was still recording this very spooky episode, like a genuine tale. Someone sent me through, saying, it was normally when I'm doing them, I keep looking under the desk because I keep seeing something that's not in there, but normally when I'm doing them, I know what's going to be a good one and what's not, and this one was a belter, and I knew it was because I'd already recorded it.
Yeah.
The fact I knew what was coming as I'm reading it.
Yeah.
And like this time now, I was sitting there and I'm thinking, this is not good for me, this at all. It just really freaked me out. And I was like, and the next day I had to do something for another Patreon show for the Ghost Podcast.
Oh,
and I thought, you know what? So after Halloween, there's going to be a few months break while I sort out how to do a video podcast. And then, thankfully, and also like this, the good thing about doing these sort of interview shows, there's much less prep. It's much more personable. And when I say there's much less prep, I'm not implying that, this is a piece of piss by any stretch.
No.
But I mean, as in like, I don't have to edit. I don't have like the script or, if somebody spells something wrong and all that, I can just press upload and it's done.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And I can look forward to it because, this doesn't feel like work to me.
No.
And in January, it'll be roles reversed. So hopefully it won't then either. It'll be a conversation.
I hope so as well. I really do. Because I work in the way that I'll get an idea for the episode. I try and do like 8, but I don't think too far ahead. It's usually episode. I'll go and sit in a cafe with my pencil box. I only write in pencil. Don't like pens. And I sit there and I just make notes when I'm listening to the music, or like I'll use the, Wikipedia,
get your phone.
Yeah. And then I sit down and I just read it. Sometimes I completely bodge it and miss a page of notes, and I have to go back and read that. No, I'm not going to edit. I'm just going to tell you I've made a mistake and carry on.
That's what I do on the
I don't like all this hardcore. And I'll tell you something. Recently, because I used to, you know yourself, right? You can do a subject where you'll get lots of listeners. Like you can guarantee. You do the Enfield Poltergeist, bang, you got X amount of listeners, right? So I can do Iron Maiden, get thousands of downloads. I can do Motorhead, get thousands of downloads. But when I do something for myself, I get bugger all. And then you think to yourself, what did I do it for? But then of course I'm doing it for me. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the only reason why I would say, if you're going to check your downloads, and this is not to you, this is to anyone who's thinking about podcasting, don't. Or if you're going to do it, give yourself, like, for example, don't check yourself month on month. Don't check yourself week on week or even quarter on quarter. Check yourself year on year, because that way, at least, if you say to yourself, I'm going to check my downloads on the 1st of February every year, then at least you're doing two things. One, you're committing to the fact that you're going to consistently release episodes. Two, you're not going to get bogged down into what your downloads are. And which means 3, you're going to enjoy it more.
Well, that's what happened, because I did a free episode about Tommy's the Tommy, right? Tommy, right? A big thing, all about its music, its lyrical content, all it's about. I really love deep diving into lyrical meaning of lyrics. And I looked at my downloads and went, that wasn't that successful. But if you look at one I did for a more mainstream thing, bang, woof, they're up there. And I started going to myself, do I keep looking? And I'm so glad you said don't do it, because I'm not going to. I'm going to step away, because don't do it. And do what I want to do. Yeah. Exactly.
And also, there's this is to anyone, again, this isn't just to you, Tone. I need to do it myself. There's certain things which, listening to other podcasts which are successful and seeing what they do at the start and the end of the show is quite important. So, for example, I don't do it, and I'm going to start next season for the Dark Paranormal, is asking people to subscribe.
Yes, I do that now. Yes.
Because once they subscribe, that's a download. It's, so it doesn't matter if then you do a show which is about you doing this. It's going to download, and if they're going to see it downloaded and go, I'll have a listen, it's downloaded.
I had it at the end, but I realised not everyone listens right through to the end. And so you've got to put it at the beginning. I'm not very good at it. I've recorded one, a pre-recorded segment. I should just slip it in every time now.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, also, like, without sounding like Gandalf, because there's no, I mean, there is wrong to this, but there's no right, really. I'm 17 seasons in now with the Dark Paranormal. I'm going to say that sounds big, but it's only 10 episodes per season, but it's still 170 episodes.
Mate, well done, man. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, obviously, at the same time, I'm getting those sent to me, so I'm kind of doing very little work, apart from the recording, which is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Especially, you know what's worse? It's when somebody writes, and they not wrong with what they've written, but because of just you can't have one long sentence. Obviously, it has to be in the format. Yeah. So it'll be like that. The car was made in 1920, but had an addition in 1930. So I'll go, the car was made in 1920 and had an addition in 1930. And the next line says, and 40. And then I have to delete what I've just said and redo it to add on the and 40.
God,
and
yes.
It's stuff like that, which just does your head in. But what I was going to say is, like, I'm 17 seasons in. In 3 episodes' time, it'll be 18 seasons. And I'm still changing what's happening in it. So, as in, like, the main feedback I get is you take too long to get to the episodes. My argument is I try to keep it to 5 minutes before the show starts, and then you get.
But I like that bit.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be an intro. You know, maybe the only thing that arguably changes the Patreon names could probably move somewhere else. That's the only thing I'm toying with. But the other parts within that intro are relevant to either the previous story, the story you're about to hear, or something that's coming up. It's not just me banging on about Patreon.
No.
And I've timed Patreon like to make sure it's within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But still, I did, like, because occasionally some dickhead owner of a review site sends you an email saying, here's some of your reviews, and you can't help but see them. Yeah. And occasionally you'll see something that says, just bangs on about Patreon and paid ads. And you're like,
I had paid ads. I had someone tell me my ads were too long. I can't help that. They just put on there. I'm on Acast. I use Acast, right? You just go, boom. They put it there. Don't blame me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I said to him, if you don't want the ads, come to my Patreon.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is the thing, and you know, I you know what? My biggest fear is cancellation, because there's so many. That's why I don't read the reviews, because if I read the reviews, especially now I'm not with Becca, because she was my whoa, maybe take a breath. Yeah. Now she's not here. I'm definitely not reading reviews, because there would be a literal episode entitled "Reviews and Why They're Bollocks." Yeah. And it would honestly, it'd be about an hour and a half long, and my Patreons would go, and no sponsorships, no nothing, everything out the window, and I'm back in work. Yeah. So
I must admit, I as I said, I had that one saying, why have you got? And my mate jumped in on because it was on YouTube, because I'm on YouTube now as well, and he goes, mate, you do a podcast, and then you tell me, you know, if you're not doing, why are you criticizing? You're not making one. Yeah. And I was like, thanks, man.
You know, well, no, you know what? Reverting back to doing a full circle back to what I was mentioning about the guy who ruined the Liverpool music scene. In my opinion, the guy couldn't play a note, and I think this is why critics. I mean, everyone's got the right to like what they like music-wise, but unless you can play a song or an instrument or write a song, you have no right, in my opinion, to publicly put on a forum where everyone else can read and slag somebody else's song off if you can't do it yourself.
Okay. Very true, mate.
The reason why I say that is because I know nothing about cars, right? Yeah. So if you said to me, Kev, something's happening with my car, it's not working, and I gave you my opinion, you'd think, well, why am I fucking listening to him? He can't even drive. Do you know what I mean? But we accept it with critics for music. Yeah. You know, they can't write, they can't play, they can't sing, they can't compose, but we'll listen to what they've got to say about the how they feel about the song. And it's the same thing. You know, if you can't play, if you can't write, don't comment.
Well, we had a guy, so I run the review page for my Metal Ruse, which is an Australian metal magazine. So every week, all the bands send in, the agents and the managers send the band's information in, and I put it on the list, send it out to people, and then people on that list then review it, right? And we got one back, and I've got a mantra, nothing less than 3 stars, right? And he sent this 1-star review in, and it was absolute a tirade. It was the most vile tirade. And I replied back to him and said, I'm not putting this on. We're not putting this up. Firstly, because you be proactive, not reactive. These people, this is their lives. This is their. Do you know how hard it is to create? Their blood, sweat, and tears is in this, and you're sitting there going, "It doesn't sound like blah blah," so it's 1 star. I'm not saying that criticism should all be positive.
No. But exactly, constructive criticism is a phrase for a reason.
Yes, it was just so vile. And I said, please, no, not here. You'll kill us off. We can't. Bands won't come to us. If we got 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, they're going to go, no, we're not going there because none of your guys will just give us a. They'll just be mean.
Well, exactly, yeah.
I know. And I know.
Like sorry, go on.
Sorry, it just irritated me. I just wanted to call him on the phone and go, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's like, I mean, my patrons will tell you that, like, they're a lovely group of people. They genuinely are. And it's such a wonderful little community for a paranormal group because there's so much toxicity in paranormal groups. It's unbelievable. They're all experts. Do you know what I mean? And I will be the first to say, I'm not a fucking expert. I just know a lot of stories. That's it. I've got theories, but I'm not going to push them down your neck. Yeah. And just because you've sat in a cold room where nothing happened for 12 hours doesn't make you an expert. And there's no such thing as a demonologist. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, God.
But in this community, they're really good at constructive feedback. They'll, it's like, and even for me, someone who is sensitive to, well, not sensitive to, but it can read between the lines when someone's being a prick, basically.
Yeah.
There's nothing from this email that it's just basically, I didn't like this, I didn't like this, and like that. Like when I worked as a manager of staff within the arena, my thing to the managers I looked after was, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a problem and your idea of a solution, and we'll discuss that. I said, otherwise you're not managing shit.
No, you're not. You're just passing on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the same for, if you're a fan of something, like you can turn around and say, let's say I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, and I don't mind Pearl Jam, but let's say I don't like their new album, and I'm a reviewer. I wouldn't, I'd say, I don't know, something along the lines of, I don't know where they're trying to go here. I can't get my head round it.
Yes. Yes.
As in like, and therefore for me, it's, but it wouldn't be a 1 star. No. Who wants stars? Anyone?
I know. If you don't know, look, I went back onto my show because I famously, when I was younger, like yourself, you go, oh no, that's crap, I'm not listening to it. And I remember vividly not wanting to listen to the Blaze Bayley Maiden era albums, right? I didn't want to know. It's not Bruce. I'm not interested. Whatever. Didn't buy them, bought them, didn't listen to them. And I thought I'll use this show as an option to go back and re-listen to and sort of see, I fucking loved them. Yeah. And I even said on the show, I said, I've let myself down for all these years because I've gone, it's not Bruce Dickinson. I don't want to know. Snobby, 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 snob. And suddenly I go, hang on, they're not perfect, but they're not Power Slave, but they're like, wow, like this is good stuff. And I even said that on the show. I said, you have to open up your mind. Like I get told so many times, why did you put, I'm a big Marillion fan, right? Why did you put Marillion on the show? It's not metal. Because it's my show. And I like it. And I want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, I remember, this just sounds like a brag now, and it kind of is, but I'm all right with it. But I love Guns N' Roses because my brother was into them. So I like them. And I obviously love grunge. So when Velvet Revolver formed, it was kind of like a perfect circle. So you've got obviously Slash and Duff, and you've got Scott Weiland, and can't remember his name anyway, because I'm a big fan. But I'd only heard Slither, and I wasn't really that fussed. And I was like, okay. But then somebody told me when they do it live, when they perform live, they'll do Stone Temple Pilots songs, and they do Guns N' Roses songs. And I thought, oh right. And then they played in a small uni bar in Liverpool, Mountford Hall. It holds about 2,000. And we managed to get 4 tickets, and me and my 4 mates went. 5 tickets, sorry. And me and my mates went. This is obviously when Scott was alive. And we went, and it was amazing. And they done Mr. Brownstone. Scott had a megaphone out. And when we left, I was ahead of the rest of the group, and I'm on my phone, pissed as a fart, trying to ring some girl. And I'm walking past this side of a bus. And little do I know, on the other side of the bus is a gate with a crowd of people, because that's the stage exit door. Yeah. And I'm walking on this side of the bus, and as I get to the front of the bus, here's Slash in his top hat, with a bouncer behind him, and I'm like this far away from him, and I, looking up from my phone, pissed, shout, Slash, and shake his hand, and I, the contact center manager, say to Slash, live the dream. The man who's got a pacemaker from living the dream. I'm shouting, live the dream. And as I turned around, I seen all my mates running up the street because they could see what's just took place. And I thought, he's not going to wait for yous. And he didn't. He just got on the bus. And I was like, I just shook Slash's hand. And they were like, we seen it.
Oh, it's like I saw Slash by complete accident. We were at a festival and a band had just finished. I think it was Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
And it was fucking hot, man. It was Sydney. It was 40 degrees. Everyone's pissed out of that part of the stadium to other stages.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there waiting for mate to come back, just, on my phone. I look up and Slash walks out on stage. He's got his guitar and he goes, hey, man, should we play something? And he just starts playing. Like, no. And I'm like, I'm on my phone. Get in here. Slash, get in here. And by the time he wants to come back, he's fucked off back off stage.
Oh,
he was there because
that's
apparently
amazing.
He's a big fan of Alter Bridge or something. He knows them all.
Yeah, he loves them. Also, it's Miles Kennedy, or am I getting that mixed up?
Yeah, no, I think so, yeah.
Because they do a lot of work together, don't they?
Yeah.
Slash
so I was like,
Miles
oh my God, it was like me and 3 other people.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do much. He sort of just noodled a bit and then went off. But it was still like...
Yeah, but even that's fair enough.
I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, you know what? It's stuff like that blows my mind when you get little glimpses like that. I remember, I think it was V3, and so V2003, and Foo Fighters. No, who headlined? Coldplay headlined one night. Can't remember who headlined. Foo Fighters were on before Coldplay, and during the afternoon on one of the days, Neil Finn came out and done an acoustic set, and he wasn't like meant to. And but he we were sat there talking like in this little circle, all hungover, and just said, "There's freedom within, there's freedom within." And I turned around and went, "That's it." And I went, Neil Finn's playing on the stage, and no one was onto it. And then slowly everyone started moving towards. It was amazing because everyone was there then, just clapping along. And he's just on his Todd. It was just the best, mate. Just the best.
I love it when you bump into sometimes you put your heroes and they're great. Sometimes you meet them and you go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But there were times, most of the time you don't. You're in awe, you just go, oh, yeah,
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
I can tell you, before we go, I got just a recent experience. It was the most funniest experience. There's a band called Rotting Christ. They're a Greek death metal, black metal band. I love them, right?
Yeah.
And they were playing in, as I said, the basement. And I know the owners and they're lovely friends of mine. And we were just chatting. And I go, oh, I want to go backstage and meet the singer. Yeah, go. All right. So we'd go through backstage. I burst the door open, and there he is. His trolley's down around his ankles. He's trying to pull his pants up because he's got out of his stage clothes. He's tackle out, right?
Right.
Sorry. So I rushed out, right? I'm like, oh God, oh my God.
That's how you meet someone.
I'm like, oh my God. And then he comes out for the meet and greet, right? So I go and put my arm around him. I get a photograph, and he's going, see what you like, like this, sort of like. And afterwards, I go to photobomb another photograph of my mate behind him, and he just stops me mid-jump. He's saying, not one photo and one willy. Bang!
Amazing. One photo and one willy.
And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I goes, I'll tell you later on.
It's between me and him.
It's between me and him.
That is so good.
And that night had been so heavy. It was like the most. I'd got a bang over already. Right, my neck was fucked, and I was like, this is amazing. I'm going deaf in one ear because I'm near the speaker. It's like my favorite spot. I'm half pissed, and then I see him naked. I'm like,
amazing.
Okay.
So the next, I'll have to say goodbye to it. But the next musical thing I'm looking forward to anyway is it's the 30th anniversary. Funny enough, us mentioning it before of Unplugged in New York.
Yeah.
And in the Philharmonic, they're doing a full recital.
Wow.
In like as in the same stage set up, the same amount of musicians playing the same instruments, and so There's two versions. There's a matinee and an evening one, and
They're
that's
both.
coming up in November. And I was
Brilliant.
tempted to get both, but I managed to get front row for one of them. So
Oh, amazing.
yeah, so
Amazing.
I can't wait for that. Can't
Oh,
wait for that.
boyhood memories, right? That's gonna be
Well,
amazing.
exactly, yeah, and I know one of the musicians, and he's spectacular. So it
Oh,
should
mate.
be an amazing show. Can't wait.
Well, this goes out at Christmas, and it looks like I'm going to have to put it over 2 shows because it's a long one.
Okay.
So have a good Christmas, yeah? I hope
Yeah,
you're having
you
a
too,
good
mate.
Christmas
Yeah.
and a safe New Year. And I'm looking forward to the future of your channel. And,
Yeah, me too, yeah.
yeah, I'm sure
Let's see how
it's
it gets on.
spectacular. And thank you again for being my inspiration. I really appreciate it. I have a special place in my heart for you for that reason, man. Okay.
Well, I'm humbled by that, and you too, heart-wise, genuinely, because you're a sincerely nice bloke, and there are very few around, especially in this game. But the ones who are genuine, so I do appreciate you, Toby. I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. And when I put it out, I'll link you in the notes and everything. So I'll message you before so I know which one to send it to.
All right, mate. Yeah.
All right, take it easy.
Enjoy your time, mate.
No worries, and good luck getting downstairs.
Fucking hell, you had to, didn't you? All right, yeah.
Bye,
Nice
mate.
one, Tom. See you, mate.
Bye, mate. Oh. Well, we come to the end of the second part of this mammoth 2-part show with Kevin. I hope you enjoyed it. I bloody loved it, and it was quite exciting. I was actually really nervous getting him on, interestingly enough. I hope that you've had a good new year, that the year ahead of you is going to be great. It's full of music, full of love, full of fun, full of friendship, and no darkness. It's just fingers crossed that this last year was an absolute bitch of a year. Let's hope that this year going forward, 2025, is a better one. Anyway, I'll talk to you next week for the first show, or second show in the new year, actually. Hey, there you go. Bye for now.